you're making me watch today is Infinity Pool, directed by Brandon Cronenberg, and boy, was it a wild one.
Yes, I enjoyed it immensely. I saw it again last night.
What did you
I get why
find?
you would like this sort of thing.
What did you find that you noticed in the second viewing that you didn't notice in the first?
In the second viewing, I think it was just more of knowing what the people that they end up hanging out with they're doing. Before I went in, you kind of get a little bit more of what they're doing. I don't want to ruin it now because we haven't talked about it yet, but like knowing that what they were going to come up and end up being a part of it, when it came again, it was kind of like I paid a little bit more attention and got to see what those people were doing a little more like in the moments, and it was interesting. The thing is that I enjoyed this movie a lot, but once you've seen it one time, it's I don't want to say it's not as
probably
good
enough. Yeah,
I don't want to say it's not as good the second time, but like the first time you see it, it's shocking. It's
you don't want to so you don't want to say that, but it is. But it's not good enough. It's not good second time.
No,
it
is good.
But
it is good. It's just not as good as the first time. It's like watching Sixth Sense. You know what I mean? After you know the ending, it's never going to be quite as good.
I wanted to watch
twist or anything.
The twist was I liked that. Whatever. We don't even, what is the twist really? Is it the cloning?
Right, because I think that shit was in the trailer and stuff. I watched the trailer. I went in blind to this shit, but it was
Did you?
Same.
That was all.
That's awesome.
I had zero idea what I was watching.
I think I knew something about like cloning, but that's it. I only knew like a little, like something about a double. That's all I really remember seeing in the brief something. But
I learned everything with Skarsgård. I was with him the whole way. I mean, what I loved about when he figures it out. It's because that's kind of how it would happen too, right? You're in a different country and this guy's just saying a bunch of shit to you and you're just like, what? And then sometimes like this makes okay, what do I and just sign? Okay. What the fuck what are we doing? And then it's just like, oh wow. Oh wow. That was wild. So let's start then. Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, it takes a little while to get there. So yeah.
It doesn't really though. Okay. They get there kind of. They get to that point pretty quick. I don't even think that's
20 minutes.
That's not the most interesting part of the movie. It's what people do with the technology that is interesting.
Sure. Well, yeah, that's what to me is interesting about the movie. It's like if you could do anything you wanted, knowing that you don't have to pay any consequence, how far would you go? And to me, that's a very interesting premise. Like I love that.
Did you guys write a haiku?
It's interesting to me.
I was just about to ask that. Yeah, I wrote two. I wrote one right after I got out, the initial reaction. Then I let it sit in a little bit, and then I wrote another one.
You let it stank in a little bit?
Lay them on us.
Yeah, let it sit in a little bit.
Lay them on us, Jake.
All right, I'm going to give you my first one.
This is the one before it sunk in.
This was my initial reactions with the immediate haiku that formed right after I watched it. It's just shock value. Why did you make me watch this? I hate you, Matt Schwartz.
Damn, you hated this movie.
I didn't hate the movie. I just hate you.
Yeah, the last stanza has nothing, or the last line has nothing to do with the movie. It was just
I just needed 5 syllables. That's all.
I hate you,
all right,
Matt Schwartz. That's great.
After you let the genius sink in, what happened?
All right. Rich folks in weird masks, like a fucked up White Lotus. This pool is shallow.
Ooh,
I like that. That's a good one.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Play on words like the title.
All right, I also have two. It's easy to write two for some reason. I think I always write two because you're just trying to think of what line fits with what, and I always come up with at least two options. Skarsgård, the husband. Mia Goth, the succubus. Blood on the nipple.
I mean, might be the best ending scene in the history of movies, to be honest.
That was a little much. That part was a little much.
It was. I was like this.
Yes, same. I was the only one. I was the only one in the theater. I had no one to just be like, "What the fuck is going on here, man?"
There's still a part of a teenage boy that lives within Schwartz that just like sees boobs and he's still like in a movie, and like that makes a movie better. I think to you if there's boobs, you're suddenly
I
like,
mean,
well, this just gone up in my rating scale.
teenage, infant, old. Now I'm boob guy all day, every day.
Like, I
Wait,
love
hold on.
boobs,
You're
but they
saying
don't.
you like teenage and infant boobs?
No, I'm saying when I was an infant, when I was a teenager. Now, when I'm old, I'm gonna always like boobs.
They just don't necessarily make a movie better for me. Where I feel like that it has that effect on you. Like where I was like
Well, we only
a
saw
teenage
one.
boy go into the video store, going like, all right, what has boobs in it? Gotta rent that. I don't do that anymore. But I have a feeling you do.
No, I don't do that anymore. When I was a kid,
Not the
though,
video store.
The movie,
Sorry, not
the
Block.
movie that introduced me to that was From Dusk Till Dawn. As soon as I was From Dusk Till Dawn, I was like, nice.
Yeah, what's your
Mine
favorite?
Was,
what was your
Drive?
Say it again. I'm sorry. I was just going to ask you the question you were already answering.
Mulholland Drive.
All right.
It's a great lesbian scene in that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to think of like what was my favorite booby movie.
You know what else was a good one? Was Indecent Proposal with Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson. That was a good one.
Yeah,
some Demi boobies.
Like Titanic
Monsters
has the
Ball?
classical.
Oh, Titanic. Yeah, I whacked it to Titanic.
Oh yeah, Monsters Ball was not. Oh, for sure, of course.
Titanic is
Monsters
interesting.
Ball was a good one.
Well, okay, hold on.
Titanic's a little more classy. Classy. It was the
Titanic.
classy version of that.
Titanic is a classy nude scene. That's where Monsters
Artistic.
Ball is. It's yucky, man. It's hard hitting.
It's
man.
pounding.
Especially when she's like,
Literally.
"Make me feel good." You're just like, Jesus Christ, Billy Bob, you gonna make her
my
feel good
God.
or what, dude?
He did.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
He made her feel good. I just think
Puffy got
yeah.
executed, and she was DTF. Puff Daddy played her executed husband. That's why I said
Right.
that.
Oh. You got a haiku for this movie, Schwartz?
I did not write a haiku.
This guy's haikuless. You're
You
haikuless.
You guys each get two. You guys each did
We got
two,
two.
so I made it up for mine.
Okay, that's how it works.
So next movie you owe us two.
I'm gonna write 16 for the next movie.
That would be
Perfect.
amazing. Make sure they're accurate. Here's my second one.
Yeah,
then.
not 454.
The North. It can be. That's a Schwartz haiku. The Northman
Shorting
and
us on
Pearl.
haikus.
All right, shut up. The Northman and Pearl. Sci-fi sexual horror. Infinity Pool.
Well, sci-fi sexy horror is what David Cronenberg and his son specialize in, so that's a good one. That is a good one.
What's this
Yes,
movie about,
yeah.
Schwartz?
What happened?
All right. So
What happened?
What
it's
happened?
pretty simple, honestly. So James Foster, played by Skarsgård, and his wife, played by, I've never seen her before, but she was pretty good. Cleopatra Coleman. What is she from? Has anybody seen her anything else, by the way?
I don't know, and I was kind of surprised. She gets a lot of like the title credits in like a lot of
I've never
posters and
seen
shit.
this
Where it's
girl.
like she didn't have that big of a role, but she's
Well, it was for the first like 30 minutes, then all of a sudden she's gone.
Right,
which
right,
was-
yeah, she's in
which
the
was the
first.
only part of the movie that I had a problem with, to be honest. That was just weird. Okay.
Well, it was
So-
his perspective. I mean, but yeah.
Yeah, but like the way that she left, she just like left. It's like, is that really something that would happen? Like, is that just the way it would go?
Would
know
you
what I mean?
stay?
Either way,
Like, put yourself in
I'm
her
not gonna
shoes.
lie,
Would you
dude.
stay?
me and Joel had this conversation because he didn't see the movie, but he read all about the movie and he was reading about like how like the conservative elites say this is like real. Like you can go to an island and clone yourself and kill people and get away with it and all that kind of shit, like Epstein style.
And you would.
And he was like, man, that just seems so fucking crazy. And I was like, honestly though, if I was super rich, I would test the limits. I would definitely test the limits. Like, why not? Test the limits, baby.
Morality, maybe.
You would
maybe
kill-
like not kill people.
You would kill somebody?
I would test the limits on this island, yes.
So yeah,
I would
Schwartz
test the
would
limits.
do this. Schwartz would live this life and love it.
Okay.
I would invite
I
Jake
think-
to kill this
Surprising.
dude and get away with it.
I think. Oh wow! I
Like,
think
Jake, come to the island, bro. We'll have a great time.
So I would be your James. I would be your little plaything, like just like because he wasn't part of them. I guess we could get there, but
I
he
think
was
this is
kinda
a
their, like,
story
toy.
that's. I think you're not supposed to feel that way, Schwartz.
I don't think so either.
I think.
mean,
I
know.
think. I don't. I
get
think
it.
this is a cautionary tale, and you kind of went the other way.
Man, listen. It's a fucking
you-
movie.
And now you're just
about-
defending it, and
about
that's
fulfilling
fine.
your dark desires, and sometimes you want to get them dark desires out. You know, it happens. It's life. You're human.
I think this is
No, this is like the consequences of those acting on those dark desires.
you're the
That's
kind of
cool.
He
guy
had
that
zero
watched.
consequences.
You're the kind of guy that watched Fight Club and like thought Tyler Durden was cool, right? Like wanted like he
I
was
mean,
the
in the
hero
movie,
of the movie.
in the movie, he was cool. In the movie, he was cool.
Like,
When you
that's-
realize what he represents, I mean, it's not cool, I guess.
But you were the kind of
But
you
also
wa-
in Fight
but
Club,
in
he's
the
going
end, you like that. Like that. I feel like that's you're one of those guys who was just like, yeah, fucking Tyler Durden, soap salesman, like he fucking anarchist like that. And whereas at the end of that movie, you should have realized, I don't know. I don't think you should have
I
had that
do-
thought, Schwartz.
I definitely do root for bad guys in movies sometimes. Guilty as charged.
That's not even what I'm saying. I'm saying the overall like message, you went the other way. I don't know.
I mean,
I think you're.
What's,
I think
what's
that,
the, all right? Before we start, what's the message of Infinity Pool? What did you take away from Infinity Pool?
That's part of my issue with this movie. There wasn't really a message other than
Why is that a problem?
it's shallow. That's just not. It just
Why
doesn't
is
have
that a
much-
problem?
It doesn't have much to it other than it's just fucking shock value and cool visuals. Like that's all this movie really was.
I mean, have you seen Cronenberg's? All of the Cronenbergs? Mostly, it's a lot of that. That's
No, I
what they
haven't
both
seen-
built their career on.
every Cronenberg movie, but I've seen a handful of his daddy's movies,
And they're basically the same.
not exactly, but there's sure elements to that, of course. Like he clearly like followed in his father's footsteps, but like I think Brandon he went a little more. I don't know. I haven't seen all of Cronenberg shit, so I can't say if like I'm sure there's more fucked up ones I haven't seen. But yeah, it's just shock value and fucking interesting visuals. It's kind of all it was for me.
I mean, that's a lot of it. Definitely is a lot of it.
Do you not like visuals?
No,
Interesting
it looked
visuals?
cool. Like that was the part about the movie I liked. Like visually, it was a cool journey. But there was also shots that I was like, okay, for example, like the opening shot, I fucking rolled my eyes when they did the spinning of the camera upside down. Where at first I'm like, okay, this looks cool. Then I'm like, okay, this is kind of on the nose. They're like, this character's world's about to flip upside down. Like, okay, cool. We established that in the first shot. Good job.
I think that was
thought that
more.
was
I think that was more saying that the place they are, the world that they're inhabiting at the moment, is upside down. I think that they're just
Same
trying
idea.
to say,
Yeah.
It's
well,
horror.
yeah, but
It's
I
a
think
horror
that's
trope.
cool.
It's a horror trope
I
that they
think that's
used,
cool.
but I loved it.
Yeah, I thought that was super interesting. I've actually never seen that exactly
loved
used
it.
like that before, which I thought was dumb.
I
was
loved
done really well.
everything that this DP did in this movie. Kareem, whatever.
Midsummer had a couple upside down shots in the beginning as they were approaching the cult area. That's the only
Yeah,
one
but
I think of right away.
This
But
was
yeah, they literally
360.
flip. That's
Yeah,
true.
which was different, which was totally different. I think that's a cool way of setting up a place that you're supposed to not know anything about, and you're supposed to kind of second guess of like what is going on. I think that's a pretty clever way of doing it.
Or just it
And-
looked cool and it was interesting. Like to like
And I-
analyze the first shot like based on nothing is just like
That's what
just,
I'm
can
here
you
for,
just
dude.
enjoy the fucking movie and without having to think too much
Oh,
deeply
dude.
about it.
I watched it for a podcast to analyze the fucking movie, so that's what I did.
Oh.
I also
Touche,
like that this
touche,
movie was
touche.
very original. It was a very original movie. Whether it's shallow, whether it's just for eye candy, you can't say it's not original. And that's to me is one of the best
The
parts about a
the
movie is
concept and the
originality.
idea I thought was cool. Like I was certainly compelled for a while in this movie. I didn't get bored with this movie, so I give it that props as well. But it was just so like surface level and so just like
Well, let's explain the movie a little bit.
yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So James Foster, who's a novelist, played by Skarsgård, and his wife M, played by Cleopatra Coleman, are at a resort in the fictional island of Litolka. And they get there, and you can just tell by the opening two scenes, which is when they wake up in bed and they're talking about getting breakfast, and they go to breakfast. You can just see that they're not in a good place as a couple. They're bored, look like they're not having good time with each other, blah blah blah, and then you come to learn that they're at the resort so that James can get some inspiration to write his second novel, which he wrote his first novel about 6 years ago, and it did absolutely horrible with the money. Not many people read it, and he's at the point in his life where he's not sure if he's got talent or not. And you also come to find that she's a rich person, so he survives off of her money. So
And she's rich
they end
because
up
her dad's a publisher, and
her dad's a
that's
publisher. And am I to think that her dad published his book? They really didn't say that, but that's pretty much probably what happened.
Yeah,
Right?
it's implied.
Yeah. So
either way,
meet...
her dad hated him for the book, whatever the reason.
Yeah.
Just realize that's somewhat of a note on nepotism, because maybe Cronenberg has his career could be because of things like this. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he's questioning his own talent. There's something there. Trying to find the depth in it. Go on.
I mean, he did write this movie in 2014, he said, so that's interesting. Like, it took him a while to get this movie made. And this is his third movie. His other two movies were pretty good. I thought Possessor was better than Antiviral. Antiviral was pretty fucking gross. I couldn't even really get through Antiviral because it creeped me out so much.
I couldn't finish Possessor from what I recall. I don't remember finishing it.
I think this is his best movie by far. No doubt.
Probably.
So, at some point, Skarsgård goes off on a walk by. Oh yeah. So after the first scene, his wife's like, "Listen, I'm going to go to the beach. I'll meet you there." He's like, "All right, cool." So he's walking to the beach and he sees this dude on a fucking quad who's basically just like causing mayhem at the resort. He's a local and he's just trying to.
Yeah, who is that guy? Why was
that he doesn't?
Did he ever come back? What was the point in that?
I think
other than just to introduce Mia Goth.
This is where he meets Mia Goth too, standing there, and she says to him that this is a local protesting against the resort. So I have got an idea that the locals kind of know what's going on at the resort, and they're against it. It's like they're not allowed to use it. Only the ultra rich are allowed to use it. So he meets Mia Goth,
the money to do it.
Yeah, the ultra rich. So then what I like is that,
but it's not. But it's not. You kind of it's not like they're keeping it from them. Yeah, but I get what you're saying, but. It just sounded like they're keeping it from him, but it's just a rich thing. They're keeping it from everyone.
Well, I think the locals just are protesting the fact that they're doing it, period. Like, they don't want them to be doing any of this shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's what that quad thing was about. It was like,
so he never comes back. We never see that guy.
Basically,
again,
the quad guy was Jake. Jake was the quad guy.
That's the quad guy. Saying like, this shouldn't be here. You're on our land.
Quad guy Jin.
Basically.
You rich people are destroying our stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're the Karen of this situation.
That was me.
And a lot of other situations.
Okay. Got it.
Anyway, so he meets Mia Goth and she says to him, "Hey, loved your book. Waiting for the next one." And he's super fucking surprised and happy at the same time that someone even knows the fuck he is and read his book. So she invites him to have lunch with him and her husband in the town at the Chinese food place that Skarsgård's wife was talking about going to, which is pretty funny. So they go to dinner, and you come to find that Mia Goth is with this older gentleman who's super rich and something off about him right away. You can just tell he's hiding something. You're not quite sure what it is, but
it's just European. You don't like Europeans.
Is he European?
He's like Eastern European.
Oh, okay. I thought he was Spanish personally. I thought he was a Spanish dude.
The accent seemed like Eastern European, but I think they purposely probably made a lot of that shit vague. Yeah, true.
That's true.
Spain's in Europe.
So
he does. Yeah, either way.
They go to dinner with these people.
Should we Google? Should we find out this guy's ethnicity real quick?
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, that's not important. Go on.
So oh my God, Jake.
Shut up.
They decide to go on a drive the next morning to the countryside with this couple, knowing that they're not supposed to leave the resort. That's kind of the rule of the resort. The place isn't very safe, so you're not supposed to leave, but they go anyway.
Well, they don't say the place isn't safe. They say it's dangerous.
Isn't that the same thing?
What's dangerous?
I think that's the same thing.
That means not safe.
They're on an island trapped in a cage or put in a cage and told not to leave. In my head, they are the dangerous ones. That's why they don't want them to leave. It's not they're not in danger. They endanger everyone else. based on all bullshit
Well,
that they do.
you come to find
Okay,
that,
that's
yeah.
cl- that's-
You come
that's
to find
clever.
that, yeah.
I'm
For
just
sure. Yeah,
it's not. I think there was possibly, if you want,
see
I don't know.
what you mean.
I'm getting a little
Like,
deep here.
Like the wording like is maybe specific to be more like it. They said one thing to make you think one thing, but
So,
it really meant another.
Jake, let's start out at the shallow end of the pool, right? You're at 2
Okay.
feet when we started. Let us know
Okay.
how deep we go as we kind of dissect the movie. Are you any
It's kind of
deeper
bumpy.
than
It's
2?
kind of bumpy. Not yet.
Okay,
Maybe
cool.
maybe like 2.5. I think I'm 2.5 now.
So they steal a car.
No, so they rent a car from one of the dudes who works at the place, and they drive to this beautiful beach. And we're kind of brought in probably like halfway through the day, where James is tired and he's chilling underneath an umbrella, and homeboy's cooking up sausages. Mia Goth is just being hot and staring at James, giving him the fuck me eyes. James's wife is talking to homeboy about, like, he straight up asked her, like, why are you with this dude? He's got no money and blah blah blah. She's like, oh, I got daddy issues. My dad fucking hates him, and you know what? Fuck it, I like this guy. And that's where you're just like, damn, the shallowness of this is pretty crazy. Like, it's just a rich shallowness of this. So James goes to take a piss. As he's taking a piss, Mia Goth's character, what is her name? I can't remember her name.
Gabby.
Gabby.
I think.
They're the
Gabby,
Bowers.
Gabi.
Gabby.
Yeah, the Bauer,
and
Gabby Bauer.
Albon.
She fucking whacks this dude off, jerks him off as he's taking a piss.
So, yeah.
And you're just like, oh, okay. So by the way, before we
why
go
are you
deeper into this,
okay? Because it's a fucking 6-minute jerk off scene where we
well,
not
hold on
only
a second. Before we go into this, there's 2 versions of this
Timed
movie.
it.
The version that we saw is an R-rated version because it's released in theaters. There's an NC-17 version that premiered at Sundance where you actually see his dick when he comes, which is kind of crazy. You see it come out of the hole, and then you see it splash on the ground.
Double money shot.
Which they had to cut that from the movie to make it not NC-17.
What is
which
the
I'm
money
not saying
shot?
we need the shot. We don't need the shot, but
why the fuck
mean,
would
it's
you need
interesting.
that shot?
Yeah,
don't know, man.
we know what happened. We didn't need to see the jizz hit the ground. We know what happened.
I mean, the jizz hit the
That's
ground.
not
was a
even.
great shot.
That's not
Out
even.
the orgasm. Like, we know what went down.
We see her. We see it all go down. We just don't see the dick. That's all we don't see.
Yeah.
It's,
You rarely get a money shot in an R-rated film, and we got one.
that was
we kind
quite
of got
the
one.
jerk off scene. What do you mean we kind of?
What
got
is the
one?
money
It
shot?
hit the
Is the money shot the landing? I think it's. I thought it was always the landing. Or is it the coming out? Is it the out or the land?
I mean, it's whatever you want it to be, Jake.
Generally, I think it's the landing. That's what I thought of what money shot is, but I guess I could be wrong.
Man,
It was a money shot.
When he was
Okay.
just pissing, I was thinking, man, this is even the pissing was graphic enough. The water, because it didn't sound like anything. I mean, it wasn't disgusting or anything. Just the sound and the seeing the piss hit the ground. There was something erotic and graphic and gross about it already in my head, and I was already in the mind of this is gonna be a very. And then during that, I was like, just this pissing is kind of weird. And then she comes around, and then it gets even weirder, and then it finishes weird, and then he's just weird for the rest of the time.
Well, I mean, he got jerked off by some random girl in the fucking woods while his wife was 40 feet away. How would you be acting?
I'm back to 2 feet.
I would have been a little
because of that
happier,
scene.
probably. Not like about the wife thing, but Mia Goth coming around, jerking me off real quick, no harm, no foul.
Like, cool, good for him. Like, but
It
we don't
kind of
need-
it just seemed like it ruined him for some reason. He was already in a
Well,
strange
it was the
relationship.
start. It was the start of his demise. Yeah.
She was definitely there to tear him down for sure. Like they looked at him like a fucking sheep, and they wanted to abuse the shit out of him, which they end up doing.
Right. And a great way to start to reach around.
Yeah, get him all comfy with you. Know?
Yeah, first one's free.
Yeah. All right. So after the hand job, they go back to sunbathing, and eventually you see that they decide to leave for the night where it's dark, and they're all packing up. Mia Goth and Skarsgård's wife go into the back of the seat, and then homeboy's like, I'm too drunk to drive, and Skarsgård's like, I'll fucking drive. So they're driving back to the resort. It's like a very, very abandoned type of road. It's super dark, not many street lights.
It's just like a
And
dark
then-
beach
It's like a
road.
dirt road. Yeah, it's like a dark beach road. And then the lights of the car start to flicker on and off a little bit. And Scarjo's like, oh shit, what the fuck? And he ends up hitting this dude, killing him. Done. Donezo. Fucking dude's dead. And Mia Goth's like, we can't call the cops. We gotta, this place is fucked up. They have rules here that we're not gonna fucking follow because it's too much, blah blah blah. We gotta get back to the hotel.
Yeah, she basically just takes control of the situation, says we're leaving. She goes, we will handle this tomorrow. We'll give him the car tomorrow. We just got to get back to the hotel. Can't call the cops. She makes it sound like, again, it sounds like it's too dangerous to do anything here. But they make it back. Where do they do with the car?
So
Well, they said it was
gave
stolen
the car.
later.
Yeah, they say it was stolen, but they gave
No.
the car back to the dude who
Yeah.
ended up getting it from him.
So that guy probably stole it or something like that. The guy that rented it from was probably just a stolen vehicle.
No, I
That's
think
what
that
it
was.
seemed like.
I think that was his car. I think they rented. I think that was his real rental car guy.
I mean, if we're being honest here, don't you think that Mia Goth and her husband knew that something like this was going to happen? This is why they took him out there. Like that's
Yeah,
kind of
this
You
is
think
all
they
premeditated.
planned
Yeah, it's all
planned out
premeditated.
him hitting someone?
I think they wanted him to drive just in case something of this magnitude could happen.
Oh,
yeah.
she addressed it later that they were trying to get him into trouble,
Yeah,
but
and
he's
he
so
did it
stupid that he
himself.
got himself into trouble. Yeah,
Exactly.
that was
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
what
yeah,
was
yeah.
I
right.
think
so. I don't
I think
that
everything just
specific accident was planned, but they were working on him.
everything just fell into place a little easier than they thought.
Yes, yeah, because he's such
Yeah,
a
true.
stupid guy.
Because he is kind of an
I
idiot.
mean,
Yeah.
you jerk a guy off, and he's gonna change. You know.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about the main character. That he's pretty a weak dude. Like he seems one way, but as the movie progresses, he certainly
He a little bitch,
becomes
dude.
this like weaker.
He's a little
version
bitch,
of
and he's
himself.
also like not one of them. He's just
Yeah.
because he's not a rich guy. He married rich, so
He's not rich.
his
He's not
ex-
talented. Like
he doesn't know
he's
what
pretty.
he doesn't know what he's feeling here.
Which is
right.
a great thing about Skarsgård, because Skarsgård plays a lot of different types of roles. I'm really beginning to love this dude as an actor. Like,
Yeah, he's
he
great.
takes a lot of different types of shit that he's doing. Like, to follow up The Northman with this is pretty awesome. It's like, all right, cool. And now he's directing a movie. His next movie is a movie he's directing.
Oh, interesting.
He's amazing.
Good actor though.
Yeah, he's great. Okay, so they drive back. He kills the guy. She says, "Can't call the police. We'll figure this shit out." So the next day, James is arrested and basically told, the way we deal with things here is if you have enough money.
No, so, he gets arrested. He's waiting there, and the guy comes in, and he tells him, "You killed the guy." Now, but he tells him your friends already fucking told us what happened. Your wife already told us what happened. You killed the guy. My favorite part of that interrogation, he goes, "I'm going to ask you this question, but I really need you to give me this answer. Like, I'm going to ask you if this guy rented a car to you, but I need you to tell me no." And at that point, you're kind of like, because he goes, "I need you to say no, he didn't rent the car to you." At that point, you're like, all right, maybe he's out of this. Maybe he's good. And then he goes, did he rent this car to you? He goes, no. He goes, all right, so you stole the car, you killed a guy, and all your friends said that's the way it goes. He goes, what? And all the shots in these scenes are very claustrophobic. I don't know what. I'd love to know what kind of lenses they use on this, because it's insane.
The framing is so this is the framing. This is how they framed all those shots with all this room over here, which usually it's like this. So they did that shit purposely.
And they were
framing.
They were fucking here too. They were the tights of them were. It was claustrophobic was the word that I kept thinking of. This movie.
Well, you were supposed to feel like you were in it with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you were supposed to feel.
That's what I was saying earlier. Is
perfect.
I felt like I was learning. I was out because I went in blind. So I was just with him the whole time. And I feel like if I was in that situation, it was just a very realistic way for him to find out the fucked up shit that's about to happen. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So he says, you killed a guy. The thing we do here is his family now has to kill you in retribution. This is like, that's how it works. Or
Or if you have enough money, which they never tell you how much money it ends up being, which I kind of love because it's kind of like, well, how much money is it? You can have a clone made of yourself, and the clone will get executed in your place by this person's family member.
And he just says double at first,
like,
too. It's not like, in my head, I was
Yeah.
like, are they going to go find a local that just kind of looks like this guy? Are they going to just have like a surrogate person that is like, all right, this is a apogee or whatever the word, this is like a fake effigy of the real person. Like, but no, it's a real clone situation.
It's a clone. And I also love that, one, like I said, they don't tell you how much money, and two, they don't tell you how they can clone people. The fact that they don't tell any of that to me is awesome. I love that.
Because this is not supposed to be set
way
in the
cooler.
far future.
No, this is now. I listened to Cronenberg talk about it. He said this is today.
Yeah.
Its plane ticket is 2018, so it's technically even a few years ago, but it does. I don't think that really matters.
Ooh, Mr. Details.
I saw it on a video.
So he's like, okay. He's kind of like, what? All right. So I guess that's when it cuts to the next scene where he's put into this chamber, and basically,
because he has to. They force him to. They force him to like, part of the deal is that he has to watch himself get killed.
Oh, that's the thing. Yeah. They tell him, him and the wife, that part of the deal is that you have to watch the execution, which is crazy, which is absolutely crazy. And she's pretty upset about it. And he's kind of like, I think this is the point where you kind of see him get a little curious, because he didn't really seem to matter either way if he was going to watch it or not. I just don't think he believes it was going to happen.
Exactly, because the very next scene is them in the bed, in bed. He's waking up, and he's just like, "What the fuck is going on? Like, where are we?" Because, and she goes, "Your double has been made." What's another crazy thing is how, like, yeah, she's disgusted by it, but none of them are like really in question of the fact that this is even a possibility.
Yeah. That's true. Well, I just don't think they quite know what's going to happen next. Like, him and the wife, I think they're just waiting to see what exactly happens next. And then the scene that's craziest to me in this movie is, well, not craziest, but one of them is the scene where he gets cloned, because, like, you're not quite sure what happens. It's shot with a bunch of like crazy edits and a bunch of flashing strobes, and he's seeing like memories of his wife and shit that's happened on the island, and he's kind of just in his head, but they never quite show you
It seemed kind of like they were doing like a scan, and like even like the water was filling up. Maybe they're kind of making some sort of body mold. They had his mouth open to scan his teeth and shit. So I feel like that seemed to be just some sort of like, you know, just the scan of his body, so they could put it in the computer.
Dude was tripping.
Yeah, Andy, maybe
he's in a clone machine, man. It's probably like taking DMT.
Yeah, it would probably be weird.
Clone, yeah, it was wild. I actually quite enjoyed that scene, though. I thought that was a pretty cool way of doing it, instead of like trying to get like behind the science of it to like detail like this is exactly what's happening. Yeah. Like the fact they left it a little ambiguous is a little more interesting to me.
I keep saying the same thing, in that I just felt like I was along for the journey the whole time. I felt like I was him. What?
He went away.
I felt like I was just every moment from him explaining, signing the paper. The whole time I was just like, what? I was same thing. What's going to happen next? And then they put the thing in. I'm like, because he doesn't know. We're all seeing it through his eyes. He doesn't know, and he doesn't need to know the science behind it. He doesn't, and they're not making any kind of effort to tell him the science behind it. They're just going through the process that they, and it was very streamlined, whatever they were doing. It was just something they seem to do all the time. And they put like the thing in his thing. They put a cap on his head. They strip him naked. They put him in this cabinet, and it fills with goo. And then that's it. And then that's when he wakes up in the hospital.
Seeing the weird memory shit go on, and like
he starts tripping.
And then it cuts to him waking up. Then they show him his double.
Yeah.
And he seems to like have a very strong reaction to that, which makes sense. And then I think that's when they,
what did it when what do you mean? Because he was still in the goo and then he woke up, right?
Yeah. He woke up. And
So
was all,
here's the
startled.
thing, and this is gonna be like the obvious question, but like, who's who? That's the thing. Who's
Right.
who? That guy's the one in the goo, and we just saw Skarsgård get filled in goo. So I mean,
Right. I thought that too. Like
you
that
know,
seems like him.
and then the changes that he goes through, and these are probably just obvious questions, but it's either, are we executing the right person? A, does that even matter? B, and when you go through this process, what does it take out of you? C. Those were the three things that I thought were the questions we should be asking.
Yeah, and I had a thought on the if it is him, and I kind of had this thought because that's sort of, if we jumping forward a little bit with like the group of people he ends up being associated with, like they seem like obviously terrible people, but they've all done the experience too.
Yeah.
So maybe every time you double yourself or whatever it is, it seems like perhaps you get worse. You get a little bit more sinister, something like that. So maybe the original James was the one who got killed. We don't know. Even later? The guy's like, oh, we figure it doesn't even matter because it's still you. You're still yourself.
Yeah.
And we have no way of knowing. So who cares?
No way of knowing who's who. But then in that case, the question is, what does that process take out of you every time?
Yeah. Are you talking about
and that's my only thought. Yeah.
Are you talking about if he's the real one or not?
I think that's my three questions were is it the real person? Because the next scene, we haven't even got, the next scene is him getting executed by the son of the guy that he killed. So we see that's how it goes
brutal.
down.
That's a brutal fucking scene.
Yeah, he just stabs him.
The size of that knife, the knife's blade's like this big.
Yeah,
and he puts it all the way into this fucking dude like 15 times,
scraping his spine.
Dude, that
it's
was
bizarre that they have to watch it. They watch it with the family, so it's like the family that's killing James. James is sitting right behind him, so they're aware in some way or another that they're doing this double thing. Like, what are they told? Like, are they told that you're killing the guy and they're just taking this? They're just buying another version of themselves. Who knows what they're telling them?
That's
so
what
we don't
probably right. They're like, listen, we cloned him. You're gonna kill the real one, but you know, we gotta.
Maybe that is what it is. Maybe the island people are actually in on it, and they're and it's actually them who want to kill rich fucking outsiders. So they tell the rich people that they're gonna get cloned, but they get killed and the clone lives. Like, that'd be kind of awesome.
Yeah, but the prerequisite of that is them murdering like one of their own, right? Because they have
unless they're already a clone. Maybe the dad was a clone.
Also, we know for some reason that they can just keep. I don't know if they like have a file of your records and they could just clone you again, but that happens too. Like they could just pop out another one.
Yeah, they just bought other versions of James later, more or less.
They did because so when he gets that's the deal. He's got to see himself get executed. The kid comes, he stabs the kid of the father, stabs the surrogate of him to death. Family watching, them watching. His wife is freaking out, and he's kind of not. He's kind of just watching. You know, neither here nor there. He gets the ashes of his surrogate as a souvenir from the police, and then he's sent back to the resort as if nothing happened, where they then try to get the fuck out of there.
Well, they try to get out of there, but his passport at that time he says it's missing.
Yes, which that was an interesting.
The wife does
turn of events,
right? That was interesting, and then but the wife kind of mentions like he's different in a way, like that he seems different.
That's the first
I feel like that's some hinting toward that that is the double, I guess.
That's the first time we see we hear that kind of something's changed about you. Like, how could you watch yourself get killed with no fucking without whatever.
Well, when he watches it too,
how do you want me to act?
When he watches it, the last shot of him watching is him smiling.
Yeah.
is you realizing that he's
Right.
enjoying this. Like it zooms in really, really close to like
So
right
now
here, and
put
you realize that he's
yourself.
enjoying the shit out of this.
What did he say
But
before?
why? Like, did he
Before
get away with it, or like?
before all this,
Sorry.
when he's in the cell and the guy comes in and explains everything to him before he signs, he says, "We're going to make a double of you," and then he says something about your memories. Your memories will stay the same, or you're still something. What did he say about your memories?
I think he says you'll still remember what you've experienced before this. Like
Yeah.
everything you've experienced in your life, you will retain.
And okay,
So
yeah,
the
'cause I
clone
remember
thinks
so-
it's you.
Oh, I think
And you
Yes,
think
the
you're-
clone,
yeah.
the clone, the one who's getting killed, if
Yeah.
it is the clone, thinks that it's really
Yeah, because
the real
he
person.
was
Does
screaming
not
out
know
for
it's a
M.
clone.
He was screaming out for his
Yes.
wife.
Yes. Which, so let me ask you guys this question: do you guys think the clone died, or do you guys think he died?
There's no way to.
I don't
There's
know.
no way.
I think
when he wakes up, he's in the goo, and when he went to sleep,
Yeah.
they put him in goo. So that was where I was
that
just
in-
like,
that initially made me think that, but I think that was purposeful. Like,
Mhm.
it seemed like this is the obvious direction of a fucking clone movie. Is it who's who? You know, it's of course we're gonna think that. You know,
But they didn't go that deep
movies
into that,
before.
because I think that's kind
They
of a
didn't.
cliche thing to do in a clone movie. It's like that's the next plot is
Yeah.
we're gonna figure out who's who, but they kind of just hint at it a little bit, like,
And
well,
that's
we're
why-
never gonna know.
that's why my question was, who's who? Does it even matter? And what does it take out of you every time that it happens?
Well, if you've
Right.
got
And that's why I like that conversation later with those other crazy rich people, that they basically just land on like, it doesn't matter. Like, we'll never
It
know.
doesn't matter.
Who cares?
if
We're
you've
the
got
same.
if you've got all your memories and you've got everything you've ever retained, then does it matter? Unless there's something different about you that, like, every time you, like Anthony says, like, what do you lose? Do you lose years of your life? Do you lose memory?
Tesla
Do you lose, like, what do you lose?
in that movie in Prestige say like the person that comes out will never be the same as like the person that went in or whatever. What was that movie? There was something.
No, he said the person who comes out is not the person who went in.
Yeah.
That's what he says. Basically saying that it's the clone, like it's something different. Like it may
Yeah.
look like you, it may sound like you, it may think like you, but it's not you.
But this is a different version, of course. My
Yes.
thought was,
Yeah, this isn't the
what was it?
Prestige.
Oh yeah. Well, what I was thinking was I said the same thing when you were off for a moment, there, Schwartz. My only thought is perhaps if they are just keep doubling themselves, that every time you double yourself, you're just slightly more sinister. Because he seemed to be like more embracive of this lifestyle, and these rich people that he meets in this coming scene, like they all acknowledge that they've done this. We see that they do it throughout the film a couple times. So are they
Yeah.
just constant doubles of themselves? And every time they come here, are they just getting more and more evil?
How many vases are they
Well,
taking
That was
home?
just a thought.
Let me say this though. I don't think that
I got a theory about that
Skarsgård.
vase.
I don't think Skarsgård ever got evil though. Like even in the end, when the ending the way it happens, I don't think he's necessarily evil. I just think it feeds his. It's like he's curious. He feels like at home at a place for the first time. Like he's not lost anymore. I don't necessarily think he's like evil, but I mean maybe that is what it is, because in order to stay at this place to continually do that, I guess you do have to be fucking evil. I guess you do have to enjoy doing terrible things. But like the
Right.
rich people enjoy doing terrible things too. Like, you know what it
Yeah.
is? I think
was
this
getting
is just
into it.
No, I mean, there's
It's
no
just
doubt that they are not good people.
yeah. But the thing that it is that like they're not bad people in the way of like they're showing it every day. They're not Hannibal Lecter. They're not fucking Jason Voorhees. They're not fucking Ed Gein. You know what I mean? They're not like presenting themselves as these type of people, because like they're presenting themselves as you and me, but when they go to this island, they do whatever they want. You know what I mean? That's how they present themselves.
Yeah,
And
like
that's what's
Epstein.
interesting about it.
They're normal people in
Exactly.
their everyday
This-
lives.
This
but
has to be when a thing when he read about Epstein. It has to be. You know what I
Here's
mean?
the
Well-
thing.
Well, I read a
rich
thing.
people, the more money, rich people get away with murder every single day.
Yes.
The like commentary on that, it's not like, oh, I bet this really it does happen. We see rich people get away with all kinds of shit every single day. Like it's like that's just is what it is.
this has been a weird trend in popular media with like the rich people are terrible kind of thing. There's been quite a few movies about this lately. I feel like just like
Yeah,
in reason
Parasite.
like The Menu, Parasite was one. We had even The Glass Onion in a way.
Yep.
Triangle of Sadness, things like that. You guys watch The White Lotus?
Yeah.
Yeah,
not.
like that kind of has. This isn't as extreme. You should definitely check out The White Lotus. It's a fantastic TV show. But yeah,
Second season's
what are
really
they
good. The
paying
first
you,
season's
Jake?
second
okay.
season. I would accept it. I would happily be sponsored by White Lotus because it's a fantastic show, especially the second season. I agree with you.
Yeah,
Sounds
second season was
racist.
great.
Yeah, White Lotus. It's just about rich people at resorts, basically. Like it takes place and it's like each season's at a different White Lotus. It's basically like another 4 seasons. It's just like a
Succession.
resort place where it just kind of follows different. Yeah, Succession's another one. Exactly. It's
Well,
just
that's the
interesting that
thing.
this has been like a trend in media lately.
I just think it's like when
'cause of
when
Trump,
Epstein
dude.
comes to, well, exactly.
Yeah,
Trump,
totally.
Epstein, they come to light, and it's all over. And I don't think it's a surprise or nobody knows that rich people get away with things, and because you have money, you can buy your way to anything. But like, it's also something with social media and with the internet, with everything like that, it just become more prevalent in the last like 15, 20 years. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
you realize what's going on. The world got a lot smaller when we got the internet. That's why everyone's pissed off. You know, like it's a crazy place. And I do think that, like, do I think that there's a way to clone people? I don't know. I hope so. But do I think that rich people do things that are in the vein of this? 100%. If you can think of something in your head that's fucked up, like a rich person who's got the money to do it's probably already thought of it and tried to take advantage.
If you could think of something that's fucked
that.
up, there was a fucking queen or duchess that did it back in the fucking 1400s for sure.
I mean, yeah, look at the Roman Empire itself, just the rule of the Romans. That was one of the most decadent, deviant times in the history of fucking anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, this
would have
has
been
been going
so
on
nice
for,
to live back then.
I mean, I wouldn't want to live back then just because the life expectancy was so low, and if you get sick, you're kind of fucked. But yeah,
That's
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
a
it's
that's
like
a
hustle in a
misnomer.
way.
People always live the same. Like no, people weren't. I mean, life expectancy. Yeah, you break your leg, you're probably dead. But people always aged the same.
no, I'm not
From
talking about
back in the
age.
day
I'm
to
talking
now.
about if you get sick. If
Yeah,
you get
yeah,
sick,
you're right,
like
you're right,
the,
you're right.
the like the surgery methods weren't even where, like, imagine having to get a surgery back then. It's like, well,
Oh no, you're done.
Like, I don't even know how to describe that. Yeah,
He's got
Yeah.
a splinter. Well, cut it off.
exactly. All right, so where are we at right now?
Pretty much.
So they just watched.
After
They
that,
just
yeah.
watched the double get killed, and you come to realize that Skarsgård's character fucking enjoyed the shit out of it. He had some sort of sick, twisted
Well,
mind.
I don't know.
lovingness.
I don't know if he loved it. Here, put yourself in his shoes. You
He
accidentally
smiled like a little kid.
listen. You just murdered someone on accident. Think of the feeling you would have after accidentally mowing someone down with your car. The whole situation that led up to the next morning, he's now arrested. They're telling him he's going to be put to death. And now, like, imagine that feeling. Now you're told that there's an option. There's a way out. Okay, I'll do whatever it takes. Now you're seeing that way out take place, which is horrifying. But you are now, you just realized, you're not going to die. You just saw your life saved essentially by this other man getting killed. I mean, that might be smile invoking. Not in a
You just got away with it.
Not I got away with it. Oh, yeah, I guess so, but not in that kind of sinister thinking either. It's just like a wave of relief of I'm not gonna die. They got what they wanted. They're just sending me back home. Everything's kind of fine now. Everything's good. Like everything's good. Like maybe the smile is cracked from that, and it's in a less sick and twisted way.
I agree with you that all those feelings would come over you, but in the moment of your wife cowering behind you and blood everywhere of your clone getting his stomach ripped open and the family in front of you, like, I don't think you're smiling like that in that moment because of that. I think you're like, whew, let's get the fuck out of here. That guy was having a good time. That guy enjoyed what he watched.
I think there was some like self-deprecation in there too. Like this guy had a lot of like self-pity because he was fucking kind of has where he's at in life is kind of a low point. So like maybe watching himself die, he got like a little sick joy out of it too. It's hard to say, you know.
I think it might be a little bit of that too, for sure. Sure. I mean, you can read into anything you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, afterward, they try to leave. The wife notices that he's different. We kind of
Yeah.
covered a little bit when you were.
Yeah.
he hides his passport.
He's
and then he
well,
goes
we don't know
down
that
and-
yet.
Do
The
we? We don't
passport's-
see him hide
the
the passport.
passport's
Well,
gone. They
yeah.
get
Passport's
back.
gone.
He has his souvenir, which is his urn of his dead self.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I thought was in my head immediately. I was like, I wonder how many urns he's gonna have by the end of this movie. That was my immediate thought by
Really?
that point. Yeah, because
I didn't
that's
think,
not-
I
that
didn't
ain't
think
gonna
about
be-
that, but
that ain't gonna be the
that's-
last time this
that's good
happens.
foreshadowing. That's a good thought. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see any. I did not see it play out the way it played out, but it just in that
Right, exactly.
I just
know.
had
I
that
think
thought
it
of
doesn't play like that.
interesting.
That's funny.
They're like, let's get the fuck out of here. He lost his passport somehow. He can't find his passport.
Yeah. Tells her to leave.
But
if
it's
she
always in
wants
your
to leave.
carry-on.
I mean, we all
I can
assume
keep
that the
going if you
cops
want me to.
stole. No, you're good. We all assume that he lost his, or we all assume that the cops took the passport, right? Like that's what I thought. I didn't. There in no point in my
Nah,
mind.
I knew from the beginning that he wanted to stay. That smile said everything for me. I kind of knew that he was doing that purposely. Well, at least I
don't
thought
think
that
so.
in that
maybe in
moment.
the second time, maybe on a second
did.
viewing, possibly. But I think for
No, it was
sure.
the
I
first
just
one.
thought I didn't. I don't know if he lost it, but I thought the cops took it. I thought they were fucking with him, or at least Mia was fucking with him. So he goes down, talks to the front desk to get her a shuttle, right? And then Mia comes back. We see Mia the day after. Now I would have been a lot more pissed to see her than he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he also extends his stay. We got to remember that. Like he tells him to extend his stay on his wife's dime. So he's definitely already planning on having her leave and him staying.
Yeah. In hindsight, that was suspicious.
I mean, that's
Again,
why
he lost his passport. In my head, I was like, you got to stay until you find your passport. I didn't.
Yeah.
In my head, I think he still wants to leave.
Not for me. It's the opposite. As soon as he went down there and extended, he solidified that he was interested in staying. That's what I took.
Mr. Two-Time.
No, it was before that.
Because I don't know if you've ever lost passport. It takes like 2 weeks to get a new passport. So
Yeah.
I have not lost passport.
That's how I interpreted it as well. So I feel like on a surface level that makes the most sense knowing what we knew at the time.
Remember when I left my passport on that fucking plane and the lady came out with it for me when we were on hunting Hitler? Remember that I left it in the seat on the plane? She's like, sir. And I was like,
didn't you do that twice?
No, I did it once.
Oh.
And the plane almost took off to another country, man. That would have been terrible. I would have had to probably, I don't even know what would happen.
You would have probably had to kill yourself.
All right. So he meets
extends his
Gabby
stay.
and Albin. Yeah, and then he meets Gabby and Albin, who's her husband's name. Then they introduce him to a small group of other tourists that have all been convicted of crimes and had their doubles killed too. They find out that these people return to the resort annually to commit these fucking crimes and basically do whatever the fuck they want. And that also intrigues him. He's like, holy shit, like, damn, all right.
And we got to remember this
over the
whole
next
time
couple-
he's a writer's block writer looking for inspiration.
Excitement and inspiration. Yeah. So over the next couple days, he hangs out with these people and they just have
Well, that night, that night
Yeah, I
they're
think
hanging
that
out.
very night they
That
do
night,
that.
number one, that whole scene is shot through a doorway. When they go in and he introduces everybody,
It's a
the
little
whole
creep.
entire scene
Mhm.
is a Mickey Rooney through the doorway, and the whole scene. We don't even
No, you're
see
right,
half.
yeah.
So half the people are off screen talking.
up until
obscured
the
by
final frame.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that whole thing. They explain what you just explained to him, and then and then she pulls out. Is this the first time they do that, like that incense drug thing?
I think that actually later.
Well, doesn't he pull out a
I think
gun?
that's-
Doesn't one guy pull out a gun at this point? And after, the one
They're
guy
drinking.
Yeah.
a gun,
They're all drinking. They're having fun. They're hanging out, and then he pulls out
and
a
he
gun.
says
And he
to
goes,
him, he's like, "So are we gonna kill you for telling you all this? Or are you gonna
Yeah.
like hang out with us?"
Well, he
And
said
then they
like
go on a
something.
mission, right?
He said he's like, if you want me to help you with your passport,
Yup.
you got to help us with this thing tonight. That's kind of what got him to go
Yeah.
to the.
"We got a
basic-
mission. We got to
yeah,
go
I-
get this thing."
I look at this as the Clockwork Orange scene is what
Yeah,
they're all
true, true,
wearing
true.
crazy masks and like doing fucked up shit to people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these
in the
masks. Let's
mansion,
talk about
yeah.
these
So-
masks a little bit.
Well, the masks are supposed to be like the people of the islands, like tribe, right? Like these are the island's original
Cultural,
people's
assuming
like,
masks.
cultural mask.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
kind of some.
And
kind
they're
of,
They mentioned the
terrifying.
beginning,
They're
yeah.
absolutely
They're like-
terrifying.
They're like Slipknot masks. Is what I
They
would.
are. That's a good
yeah.
way to describe them. Yeah, they are. They really are. I wonder if that had some influence on that because they do look like Slipknot masks.
So they break
So-
into, they steal masks, and then
They go to the gift shop, steal mask, and then they go to is it the guy who runs the resort's house or the
See,
no,
that-
the mayor?
I was
It's
I
the
wasn't
mayor.
clear on who it
or
was.
the next resort over. Somebody got a medal that they wanted. That's what they.
Well, But they
I thought it
also
was
say
something to do
that
with the
it's the guy
government.
responsible for them getting indicted. So I think it's the mayor's house or the guy who runs
Oh,
the.
Something
okay,
like that. It
okay.
was some
So they
political
go to
guy.
this dude's house and they break in, tie him up and the girl he's fucking up, and basically ransack his house. And this is when you realize that Skarsgård is starting to enjoy it because like he's getting into it at this point. He's starting to be like, oh, well, this could be something
Is
I
he?
can fucking do.
I thought he was just the one like holding him at gunpoint. It was still wearing the mask. Kind of. I didn't see the enjoyment like you're saying yet.
I
Well,
mean,
he was
I do.
also
I saw
wearing
it
a-
through
well,
the
he was
whole
wearing
thing.
a mask, so that's interesting that we didn't really get his facial expressions through a lot of these scenes.
Yeah.
We just kind of got his body language, but I there was hesitation, I think, at times.
Yeah.
It was hard to
Everyone's
read.
everyone's
think-
doing like all kinds of fucked up shit around. They're ransacking the whole place, and he's just kind of like
Well, they
taking
told
it
him to
all
stay
in
there.
right
That's
there,
why.
Yeah,
They say,
yeah.
"Yo, stay here with them." You know what I mean?
But he's
And then
just
Mia
it just
Goth
seems like
comes
he's
back.
just kind of there, just kind of taking it all in. It I don't know. I just didn't see the enjoyment yet. But go ahead, Mia Goth.
He was
comes back.
drunk
So-
and shit. They were like, he was living it up in that sense. Like they were heavily intoxicated, and he was just kind of going along for the ride,
You're heavily intoxicated.
mildly.
Go ahead.
So Mia Goth comes back and basically holds a gun to him and is like, "This, like, I don't even remember what she says to him." And she's like, "This is what we're doing now." Blah blah blah. And she's like, "Are you basically in it with us?" And he's kind of just staring at her, and they're having like a staring contest. And then the husband comes and is like, "All right, let's get the fuck out of here."
He
And
tries
they
to
got
get
the-
him to. She tries to get him to kill.
to kill the
guy, right?
dude. Yeah. And they got what they wanted, so they get out of there. And I guess it jumps a little bit here in time to where it jumps to another night of them doing debaucherous shit, and you realize and you think that, and you see James getting like killed again, right? I think this is where he's getting like beat up and killed, and you think it's him, and then you come to realize that it's another clone again. They zoom out and they're all watching it. Like, isn't that what happens? Don't all their clones die
No,
at this point?
they get arrested for that, right? I thought
Do
they
they?
got arrested for that. Whatever they were stealing the metal, and I don't know. I don't remember if they killed who they killed there. I think did they end up just killing everybody there?
I don't remember. Oh, I do know they
'Cause
had
they
a big
all went-
orgy. They definitely
security.
had a giant
There was a
orgy.
security that came out and like
Oh,
shot
yeah,
at them,
shot
and then
at
there was
them.
like a shootout.
So
Yup.
they all get arrested, and they all
Yeah.
wake up in jail. But that is Skarsgård still kind of like what the fuck's going on? Everyone else is just chilling, just like
Yup,
they may as
they
well be
know.
in Barca loungers. They're complaining that there's no water in the jail cell with them. When the guy comes in, they're like, "We've been in here for fucking hours. What are we fucking waiting on?" And he goes, "Listen, I'm sick and tired of your rich people bullshit coming to my island and using it like a fucking some kind of murder vacation. I'm gonna set an example this time." And he drags them out of the cell into the murder cell, and we're watching like he's not fucking around this time. Chains them all up, and Alex freaks out. He runs. He gets his throat's fucking slit. We're just watching him die. Mia's freaking out in the background, and then we cut, and then it's just
It zooms out, like it
we
widens
hear
out, and
laughing.
You see them, you
We
see
hear
them on
laughing in the background, and there
Yeah,
on the
applauding.
bleachers.
Yeah.
Yes. That part blew my mind. That part,
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God. At that point, I was like, this is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life.
It's such a good movie, dude. It's so entertaining.
Sorry, Jake. I know you hated it, but this is one of the greatest movies ever.
Nah.
Sucks.
it's a
Hey,
great movie.
you don't have to agree with the subject matter not to be a good movie. It's a fucking great movie. What I hated is that I loved the movie from the first shot of spinning over. From that point, I was just like, all right, All right. And it could have gone either way. It could have been fucking super tropey, or they could use it in good ways. And they use it in good ways. Everything.
I love that you didn't watch the trailer, because if I would have went into this knowing nothing, I would have been like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah,
Like I don't
it
think
blew
I
my
would have
mind.
expected
It-
anything.
I mean,
it
it
blew
certainly
my
kept
mind.
me. It kept me interested. It definitely didn't like lose me ever. I wasn't ever like bored.
I want it. I wish there were people around me.
So then,
like,
Jake,
be like, yo,
you just said that you were interested. You said the visuals were great. You like the acting. What about it makes it a bad movie? Then is the subject matter? You're just kind of a
I
snowflake.
don't think I don't know. I actually don't think the story was that strong. I think it was like there was a lot to it that was like trying to be deep, but it was honestly like failed in that sense.
I don't
'cause-
think the story was trying to be deep. I think it was trying to make you experience what this dude's experienced when he's experiencing it. I think that's what the core of it was.
through pretty crazy visuals. I think
Yes.
this movie is visuals over everything else, but I don't think anything else is lacking in any way.
I think the acting was fucking amazing.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
killed it.
Yeah.
Everybody brought their A
Okay.
No,
game.
Mia Goth is insane.
She's my favorite. I think Mia Goth's
Insane.
my favorite actress right now. She's so good.
All right, well, she became annoying to me in this movie. It
Oh,
got to a
she's
point where
super
I'm
annoying
like,
in
she's
this movie.
super annoying in this.
When
Well,
she's
she almost-
sitting on the car drinking the bottle of wine,
Yeah, I'm like,
what's
fuck
his
off,
name?
yeah.
She just
Yeah.
keeps screaming. Oh my god!
I kind of equated her with Sherry Moon Zombie in the zombie movies
Yeah,
and the way that she
100%.
got, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I didn't think she was annoying. I thought that she was. I mean, I get why you think she's annoying, because like she becomes a complete psychopath even more than she was in the beginning. Like her real colors come out, and she like you said, she starts screaming and shit. But I think that just adds to the deviousness of her character, which I think is great. I don't think I didn't find it annoying, but
Especially since the next scene after that one is them leaving. Like that was the craziest thing, is them just off. Like they're on the whole time and now they're off. No makeup, sitting on the bus, discussing like, oh, what are you guys gonna eat? When you guys gonna get some
Yeah.
ramen?
Well,
Excellent.
you're skipping the whole dog part.
I'm not
The
skipping
dog
anything.
part.
I'm just saying that the dichotomy
It's the
of
dog
her
part.
action, or I don't know if those big words are actually working. The difference between the way she was acting on top of the car versus the way she was acting in almost the next scene
Oh,
inside,
sure,
like
sure, yeah.
on the bus leaving. Whew, Mia Goth is just
well, you can equate it to like dudes going to Vegas for the weekend and
Yeah.
getting away from their families.
Yeah.
This is the kind of
Yeah.
things that they'd get into. You know what I mean? Like their whole personality changes because they get to be raucous and over the top and all that kind of shit. Like, I mean, that's what this was. This was just people doing things that they can't do every day, but they can do it here. So it's ramped up to 100%. You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's like getting away with things you can never get away with unless you're in this situation.
So I think the next scene is actually the one with the mayor, where they say we're gonna go get the mayor that fucked with us, or the police officer. The one
I thought the next scene was when he gets his passport and tries to leave, and then they get him on the bus.
No, I do think when the house they broke into was some sort of political guy.
no.
But later then they go, all right, we're gonna go get the police officer that arrested you
Yes.
initially.
It was some kind. I mean, and it doesn't matter, but it was some kind of. I remember them saying like they won this because it was a medal, because they came walking out with the medal. I found the medal. They
Mhm.
won something and they just wanted to take that back. And then they're like, we got to go get the guy that fucked with us. And he thinks they do, but what happens there? They
And
go.
then I think that was after the orgy.
He's like, yeah, I think that was he does the drug thing, like he huffs the
Yeah.
thing out of the bowl.
Then the
and
orgy.
then- And then they're all hammered, and then they go to that guy, and he's outside standing guard.
The way the orgy scene was shot was pretty fun though too. I loved the way that scene was shot. It was super
Was that right
trippy.
before this?
That was right after they do the drugs. The orgy happens.
Yeah, because
that's where
they're having sex, like they're having sex, and then like the visuals start getting weird, and then it kind of like goes down, and you see her husband just down there just jerking off,
Yeah.
and then
they're all
then
there.
it just sees everybody. Yeah, and then it's everybody.
By the way, did you guys know that Mia Goth is married to Shia LaBeouf and has his kid? I
Yeah.
never knew this.
Jesus,
I found this out yesterday.
Yeah, I knew that.
Pretty
I did
crazy.
not know that.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, she
I
recently
didn't
just
know
had
she
a
was
kid,
British.
and I
She's
had the
not
thought of
British,
like
she's
she might have.
Canadian and Brazilian.
Whoa, really?
She's a Canadian and Brazilian.
She
What
has an
is her
English
accent?
accent.
Her
But her-
accent's not an English accent?
Like yeah, like real her it has an English accent, so she
I
must have
don't
lived
think
there.
she has an English accent. I think that's
No, I
just
just
her
listened
like
to an interview with
French
her.
Canadian accent.
She was
It
born in
sounds
London,
pretty British
idiot.
to me. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, well, her father, one of her parents is Brazilian, the other
Sure.
one's fucking
So's mine. Who
Canadian.
But they
cares?
lived in
But
London.
she's English.
All right, whatever. All right, where are we then? Orgy
They
scene.
they did the orgy scene, which was beautiful. Everything shot practical too. I thought that was
Yeah,
awesome. Everything was
yeah,
shot practical, which
yeah.
makes sense. I think
They use they use lights and camera movement to make the trippiness instead of
yeah,
using
and
CGI
like
or whatever.
and they put shit in front of the lenses, like
Yep,
little
yep,
dingleberries, little shine pinging lights off it. I love that shit. Using
yeah,
prisms to fuck with the light. That's amazing.
yeah,
I
hundred
thought it was
percent.
very cool. Nothing like stood out to me to where I was like, whoa, was that CG? Other than the trip out scenes, like when he's getting cloned, there were some shots.
Well, there
in
was a
that
little
one.
bit of CG in there of like they showed like a human, like kind of like a dummy. I looked like getting put together a little
Yes,
bit. Like,
that's what
so
I was
that
thinking
really
of.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but that could have been
there's
practical. That could have
could've
been the dummy where they
could've.
just kind of like cut it open or something. Like I don't know.
There was
I don't know.
nothing that stood out to me that I was like, that's definitely CG. But I thought all the effects definitely could have been and weren't, and I think that was great. I thought they pulled that off pretty well. They used it well.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the next scene is them going to what we've been talking about. Get the guy that was fucking with them. Like, we can't, because her whole thing is, and
I don't
maybe
remember this.
she's trying to she is she trying to help him in like get inspiration? Do we think that she is in a way actually trying to help him be inspired?
I think we're meant to think that, but
But
this is kind of when we start to realize they're just fucking with them because that guy they find
are they though? But are
ends
they
up being
though?
him.
Even
Wait,
in
what
the
do you
end,
mean?
even
I
in
think
the
that's
end,
established. I think it's established that
I
they're
think
fucking
that
with this guy.
she's using him as like her little chew toy or whatever. You know what I mean? She sees the weakness in him and she takes full advantage of that.
but she's the whole time trying to get him to not be that guy. Like, stop being a little bitch. She like
I
that
think
whole.
I think it's to
Oh, I see
make
what you're
him be
saying.
part of it. You know what I mean? Like to get him to be part of the fun. You know, I don't think she's trying to. I don't think she's trying to make his life better. I think she's using him for sure.
I don't know. Maybe in her sick, twisted way, because in the end, he is inspired. In the end,
Yeah.
he does get inspired, and there's like clues to, like, in the beginning that what we're watching may be the story he wrote.
I never thought of that.
There's something that he says in the very beginning.
So you're
along the
saying
line.
that this was all like just like not real and it was in a book he wrote or what? That's what you're saying?
Or no, he's just
Or this is the story for the second book.
This no, all this happened. He just wrote the story, but he just wrote it. He just wrote about it.
But the book that he published that no one read was this, or the book that he writes after is this?
After.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I mean,
Like,
if you
he
go
got
through a
the
situation like
inspiration
this,
and he wrote it.
if you go through a situation like this, how can you not be inspired by that? Like if you were a writer, that should spark your shit immediately. You should be like,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to take this element and this element and this element and then blah, blah, blah for 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess that's what you can justify that she's doing, giving him inspiration.
That's
Sure.
what I just said. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
I think
Do you think that was her intention though? You think maybe at a certain point she's like, maybe I am going to inspire this man?
Well, they
Whatever
chose
accent
him
is.
because they knew he was kind of weak and they
Yeah.
could manipulate him. But maybe in another way, a little bit of that is what she's doing, or like she hopes. But I don't think that was the original plan.
Yeah. No, neither do I. But
They just
yeah.
searched for some weak dude that was at the island. Like they played it all out, and she explained it all in her little villain scene on the fucking top of the car. Like that was the moment where the villain explains all their intentions. Like that's what happened.
Yeah,
with
but
deal.
then they were cool the next. Like it was like everyone was cool about it the next day. Like she said a lot of fucking lies and bullshit. But what was her? I don't think we'll ever know their real intention.
You know what would have been cool if that end shot where he's sorry to jump ahead, but at the end shot where he's just sitting on the beach by himself, it would have been interesting if he was then writing. That maybe would have added to a little bit of it, like maybe to signify that this did inspire him, but it was just him fucking just sitting there.
Maybe he was
You know what I'm saying?
maybe he was like getting his thoughts together in his head, and the next scene was him typing on a
That's,
laptop.
I mean, what is the meaning?
But
of
they
the ending? I
never
think
show.
that's
Yeah,
the-
they never showed him writing, so it didn't do anything for him. He just there still.
I think he stayed because he finally found a place where maybe he feels like he could be at home. So maybe in deep down he's just a fucked up dude who wants to be part of this all the time.
But
That's
like,
what I took from it.
what is he gonna do there? A, by himself, and B, during the rain season. Like, what's his next move? That was my question.
Just keep murking
Yeah.
people.
He's gonna run out of money eventually. His wife.
He doesn't. Does he have any money? His
He
wife
doesn't have any money.
His wife does. So he
Yeah,
has
what is he
access to
doing there?
accounts, but of course she's gonna figure that shit out eventually.
Yeah, once a couple weeks from now or whenever, she's gonna be like, "Oh shit." All
I
right,
have
so
I have a wild theory that probably isn't it, but I have a thought on
about
that as
the
well.
end?
About the end.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's get there first, though.
Okay, for sure.
So
Okay.
they do the orgies. They go back. They're gonna go kidnap this guy. He was they said, you need to balls up. We can't lay down and let them do this kind of bullshit. It's more or less words to us. Like we have to take action. So they go and they're gonna kidnap the guy that was fucking with them, and they're gonna beat the shit out of him. He's standing outside. They go to the building in the van. He's standing outside keeping guard. A cop rolls up and then like tries to run him down. And at this point, I think he's tripping on the drugs. They're drunk. I might even have a bottle in his hand. But they come out. He's like, there was a cop. I don't even remember what that point of that was.
why they were there?
Why the cop was there?
Which one? The one who tried to run him over?
Yeah,
I think he was just patrolling.
he was just there, and they didn't
Yeah.
give a fuck if they were actually there. So
Yeah.
they pull the guy. They pull who he thinks is like this guy out. The guy that was fucking with him. He's got a hood on, and they just start just start beating the shit out of him, including Skarsgård. Skarsgård's doing most of the beating. They bring him back to the place, and he pisses on him. He's pistol whipping him. He's hit. I think he's like picking up shit and throwing it at him,
kicking him while he's down. Shit, yeah.
kicking him. And all the while, and like him and Alban are fucking dicks out pissing. I'm sure we see the dicks in this. When I was watching this movie, I was thinking, this is a fucking R-rated. This is a hard R. Like
And it was worse, yeah.
20 years ago, this wouldn't have been made, and would not have been released as a R-rated movie.
Well, it got an NC-17, which makes it basically unreleasable because not many theaters will carry that. So basically, they're like, if you want distribution for your movie, you gotta make it R, and that's what happened.
It's funny, they still had the cum shot in the R cut. Like they didn't think to cut that part out.
No, they did.
They
because
cut
the
out
other
the
part of the
dick,
cum
dude.
shot is the
Okay.
dick where
Oh.
it comes out of.
Well, any of the cum, I would think as an editor or whatever, probably take the cum out and maybe I'll get an R rating.
Well, here's
what
the
happens
thing:
is that
they
they
can
took out
make
half
it
the
as
cum.
fucked up as they want, and then they're like, "All right, now we'll take the dick with the cum out, but let's leave the cum hitting the ground." It's like those are like South Park rules. We're gonna make it way worse than it is, so that when we take these out, it'll be a little better.
Well, the thing is that they're told what they have to remove. They're told this is specifically what you have to take out, and the dick was the thing that they said.
Yeah, take the dick, leave the cannolis. But that's what they do.
The cannolis.
I don't know if that was their intention. I think they were just I think he just made this movie the way he wanted, and it got an NC-17. But it was
100%.
like that's how like the South Park guys did about Bigger, Longer, Uncut. Then they were like, they had like the crazy orgies. They were like, we just put him pooping on his chest, and then when they were like, oh, can you guys take this part out and like make it an R? Like, sure, yeah, we could do that, but it's still pretty graphic.
My dad took me and my sister to see that movie, not knowing what the hell it was. And he was like, oh my God, especially when Satan and Hitler run around the dildo. He was like, come on, guys, come on. My dad was like, what the fuck is this? Funny part is, though, is we never left the theater. We watched the whole thing.
I did hear Brandon, that's fucking rad of your dad, rad dad. I did hear Brandon Cronenberg say that the NC-17 will be released. It'll eventually.
Yeah, 100%. There's another version.
You can't advertise an NC-17 movie. I heard him saying like that's where it was. You just can't advertise it, which means,
well, theaters won't put it in the theater, so you can't get distribution of that. You know what I mean? So that's why it has to be. His other movie, Possessor, was also released like that too. Like it was released for our version. Then when it came out on DVD, you get the unrated version.
So as Albon and Skarsgård himself are pissing on this guy after they beat the fuck out of him, and all the while, this fucking crazy bitch Mia is just walking around, giving him the eyes, being like, yes, look what I've created. And at a pivotal moment of them pissing on this man, she pulls the hood off of him, and it's none other than James, another clone of James. And they're just like, haha, look at this. And that fucks him up.
Yeah. He didn't realize that was a thing. And he's like, well, I think that's when he kind of second guesses if he's the real James or not, because he's like, wait, where the fuck did this guy come from?
Yeah. And they were just like, we asked him to make another one just for fun. And they beat the fuck out. Do they kill him?
He leaves before you can see what happens. James freaks out, goes, gets his passport, which you find that he hid it under the sink.
Oh, and they don't kill him. I remember what happens.
Yeah. And what happens?
Well, they tell him to kill him. They say, you got to kill him. And he won't. He's like, no, this is fucked up. I'm out of here. And then he attacks him. Naked Skarsgård attacks close Skarsgård.
He's got to kill him.
And
he's got the thing on, right? He's got the fucking collar on and shit.
And he attacks him like a rabid dog.
Is that the same clone, though? Is that the same one? We don't know that.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Isn't that the guy they've been beating the shit out of?
Do we know that the dog and him are the same clone?
When does the dog come in?
The dog comes in later. The dog comes in after that whole car part, after the whole he runs away. And then that's when they find him at the house of the old.
Oh, yeah, because that happens outside.
Yeah, that's all. That's all later.
You're right.
Oh, I forgot about that. So the next part is him leaving and
trying to leave.
Goes, gets his passport, gets on the bus.
That's when we find out that he's hidden his passport under the sink. So for some reason he wanted to stay
because he was enthralled by it. It was exciting. He was bored and he fucking hates his life.
Inspired.
Hates his wife.
I don't know. Does he hate his wife? I think she kind of don't like him, but
they had a strained relationship.
He likes his wife.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they're just
strained relationship.
So he gets in a bus, tries to leave the island. They pull up next to him in this fucking convertible where she's like hanging out the side of it, pointing the gun at the bus, shoots at the bus, basically says, "Give me James or you're all gonna fucking die." James gets out. I guess we already talked about basically what she says. She's like, you're pathetic, you're worthless, like you have no meaning, like the only meaning you have is at this island.
The worst part is she goes, I never read your book. I had to fucking Google you, and that was hard. I was like, oh my fuck.
And
that breaks him, dude.
Bad reviews.
That's even worse. She like all the time. She's like, you're a fucking pussy. You don't have the balls to do shit. You're a fucking idiot. And he's like, just kind of. He's walking in front of the car that she's laying on the hood. This is beautiful, laying on the hood on a blanket, just drinking a bottle of wine, like calling him bull, or she has a bottle, whatever, just saying all this bullshit. And then she's got a bucket of fried chicken next to her. This is beautiful. I loved everything about that scene. And she's just saying bullshit, and then she goes, I never read your book, and whatever. She said some bullshit about him, and that's what gets him to stop and like turn around. And you're like, what? Like you didn't even, after all this, you haven't even read my book. Like I thought that was almost comical in that this is like the reason he stayed is because he found a fan. Like that's why he was like, oh, I got friends here. Like, oh, these people appreciate my book.
Yeah.
And that broke him. And then they start reading bad reviews as he's walking and just start reading it, bad newspaper reviews. Oh, and then he runs. What happens? She drops the gun, right?
Yeah, drops. No, I think does she drop the gun or she drops the wine and then he tries to take the gun.
She gets like distracted for a second. Yeah. He uses that, he attacks her, knocks her off the thing, and then he runs out into the woods, and that's where she's just like, James, just screw. Oh, yeah, that was scary. That's terrifying. And then they shoot him. And then she's like randomly shooting into the woods and hits him.
Yeah,
but he escapes.
He escapes, and then he finds the house, and then it ends up being the family of the guy he ran over in the beginning of the movie. Because there was that creepy little kid that tried to choke him out, but then did he run outside? Or was that a dream?
I think that was a hallucination. I don't know if those people were actually those people, because I think he started tripping.
And then
That
she
makes
catches
sense,
up
too.
with him again, and they tell him, you got to duplicate yourself for one final time to complete the transformation. And he's like, what? And then
when does that happen?
after the family takes him in, and he gets hallucinates or whatever.
They find him.
Yeah, find him out.
She comes and finds him and says, you got to do it one more time. He refuses, but then the dude,
that's the dog,
the clone on the leash, attempts to kill him. So James beats him to death. And then this is where
it's a crazy fight scene between the two of them. Also
pretty
done
brutal.
practically.
Pretty brutal.
I
and
mean,
then
as practically as you could do it.
after James kills the clone, Gabby takes blood, wipes it on her breast.
Yeah.
And breastfeeds
he basically
and that's
he
when
basically
I was just like,
he's turned into an infant. He's being reborn at this moment in so many ways. He stabs.
Can you
and kills
imagine them reading the script?
He fucking bashes his skull in.
Bashes him.
Bashes his skull and blood everywhere. And then he's just kind of fetal, just laying there. And she comes over. She caresses him. This is kind of like, is she helping him? Does she care about him to a certain extent? She like caresses him. And then out of nowhere, she pulls a titty out, rubs blood all over the nipple. And he starts
from the dead clone. From the dead
breastfeeding on Mia Goth's
sucking on the titty
nipple.
Can you imagine being those two actors and reading the screenplay and being like, "Oh, damn,
well, Skarsgård's an executive producer. He knew what was up. He signed on for this.
Yeah,
he signed on for
filmographies. It's not too crazy.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
So I guess
it's like considering their filmographies, it wasn't too crazy with those two.
I mean, just for anybody to do that's pretty crazy. That's crazy for anybody to do.
Dude, that whole everything leading up to that point. Imagine like this, yo. I'm gonna give you just like this one scene of this script. You tell me if you want to do it. Imagine that's the only thing they read.
Okay, if that's the only thing, yeah. Leading up to it, it wasn't that shocking because of what we've already seen throughout this movie.
They're like if you don't like this scene,
come at me like,
you're not going to be in the movie.
Sucking titty, yeah. There was already a weird
that
titty
scene shocked me the most. Actually,
shot.
That scene actually shocked me the most because why was that? First off, why was that needed? Second of all, it's a crazy visual.
Why was that needed? Is a great question.
Yeah, but dude, this is the thing. It wasn't, but this isn't a movie where any of it was needed. None of this movie was needed. It was made because it's
movies
original
are
and interesting. That's why
no movies are needed, boys.
Well, that's not true. There's movies made about like Saving Private Ryan or Schindler's List or shit like that you make because you're trying to show what happened and you're trying to show people who didn't experience that like something. But this is just any Cronenberg movie, any David Lynch movie, anything like that. They're not needed. They're all there for most of the shock value.
Weird for being weird. Like that's all.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fun. That's entertaining.
It's just that's the medium of movie. We're watching entertainment. Every movie is there just for entertainment. That's what I'm saying. Like no movies needed. These are just moving pictures with talky sound. Like we're just enjoying it. So to say one movie's more unnecessary than the other is, I think, silly.
Do you know who I would love to hear talk about this movie? Is Quentin Tarantino or Roger Avery? I would really love to hear them talk about this movie because I feel like Tarantino probably loved it. And Roger Avery was kind of like, it's probably a little much.
So the very next scene after that is them on the bus leaving, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
they get on the bus. And this is where it's went to the scene that you talk about, how they're like no makeup, dressed like peasants, just literally talking about what they're gonna do when they get back to their house.
Right before that, we see him packing up. We see him packing up, and he calls his wife, and he's like, "Hey, I'm really sorry. Like, I'll be home." Like, it just like. He was reborn. Like it almost seemed like he was cool now in a way. Maybe it's just because it was all over and he has 3 urns now. Yeah. But those are just the three ones we saw. I guess I was expecting him to have like 6 by the end, and like us not see 3 of them. I thought that would have been.
We technically saw 4 copies of him though.
We saw the original copy that the kid killed. The copy that that he killed, the dog copy, the slit throat copy. Oh yeah, and there was one more, right?
And then there's the cop.
And the cop that ended up being him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was only 3 urns.
There was only 3.
Exactly.
urns. Well,
Did
I
a
guess
version of himself go home? Maybe.
Hmm.
Maybe. Maybe not. It never says. Doesn't really imply
are there
that. But
2 like the
thought.
cop one? We don't see the cop
Yeah.
one die.
Exactly.
Is he just still out there? Is that who we saw? Is that who we saw at
On
the end?
beach? Yeah.
Maybe.
You know what would have been absolutely insane is if in that ending shot, there's 2 of them sitting there, and you're just like, oh shit. That would be
Maybe
Jerking each
that
other off.
was. There was 2. We saw one go home, and we saw the one that stayed.
maybe.
We weren't seeing
Maybe.
him
Just
make a
like those 2
decision. We
versions
didn't
of
see
himself.
that. We didn't
Yeah.
see the decision be made. We just saw him go home. And then the next shot, in my head, I was like, "Oh, he stayed." No, that was the clone, the cop clone.
Yeah, like we saw him at the airport, but we didn't see him get on a plane, but we also didn't see him leave the airport.
Bro.
You know what I like about this movie and about his other movies and about most of his dad's movies? Yes, they are shock. Yes, they are brutal. Yes, they are weird, but they usually do have an underlining message. Like Scanners had a message, Videodrone had a message.
What's the
This has a message about like the ultra rich getting away with things, that they can do whatever they want. So there's a little bit more substance than just the shock value, Jake.
No, I don't think that's that strong of a message though. It's not like an original.
It's just a
idea, like,
message.
oh, the rich get away with everything. Like
I don't think it's that
it's been done.
simple. It's just a message of. It's a message of morality. It's a question of morality. What would you?
You're
They're
right.
giving you.
Yeah, what would you
this
do
is
if
what
you
would
could
do
get away with it?
if you were in
Exactly.
this situation? They put you in his
Exactly.
situation
It's
so
deeper than
well.
Jake's
I think
saying.
that's what I love about this movie is I felt like, and maybe it was because I went in blind, but I just felt so, and the cinematography made me feel so close and intimate. Intimate is a good word for this movie. Claustrophobic, intimate, loud. The sound in this movie was amazing too. It made me, I don't know. I went on this fucking journey with the Northman for this movie. Like I experienced this shit. It was an experience. This movie, especially what a strong ending.
Yeah, this was a solid flick. I like this movie a lot. I liked it a lot more than
the
I thought.
idea.
Not that I didn't think it was going to be good, but like I saw his other 2 movies and I wanted to see it because I like the shock value part. But this movie definitely was his best film in my opinion. He definitely accomplished more with this one than he did with the other ones.
The idea that because in my head I didn't think about I wanted to discuss the ending and what you guys thought the ending meant, but I didn't realize that we didn't really see one of them die. Like that the fact that might be 2 people now is fucking, that makes me like it even more.
Yeah, that is true. I didn't think about that either.
Because we never said the exact ending. The ending is they're on the bus, everything's normal, they're getting on a plane to go home. He's called his wife.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about the bus a little more. We did talk a little bit, but like they're talking like none of this ever happened. They're
Exactly.
talking like you would, me and you, when we were leaving a vacation from the Bahamas, where we just spent 6 days relaxing and drinking and having no worries in the world. They're
Not only
talking
that,
about
you're
their
kind
kids.
of
They're talking about picking up their
you're
dog.
over it. You're kind of over the vacation. This was fun,
And
but I want to
and
go
he's
home
just sitting
now.
there like, what the fuck? He's like looking
Yeah.
at them. The way it's framed is amazing. It's the bus. He's in the middle in the
Yeah.
back. They're out here on the sides. He's just in the middle of them like what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know
The
what I
graduate
mean? That
shot.
was
We've
amazing.
seen it all before.
That was a great fucking shot. Great fucking shot.
Dude hates
Great
movies.
shot. Jake's just mad. This is better than Good Will Hunting. That's what he's mad about.
Far from
And
Good Will
Parasite.
Hunting. Far from any of those movies.
Boong Joon-ho wishes he could make a movie this good.
Every Boong Joon-ho movie is better than this movie.
Isn't
That's
it
not
Other
true.
than, okay, maybe not his
Bong
first
Joon-ho?
one. Bong. Yeah.
I think Memories of a Murder probably the only one. Maybe Okja.
No, they're all
Okja's
better
so
except
good.
his first one. But
Okja's
that's
great.
just a matter of an opinion.
Yeah, you wish he was right.
This movie's great. So they and then anything else about that in the bus ride?
No, that's it,
And
man.
then- and you
That's
see,
it
I
for
mean,
me.
it's kind of a slow creep onto him, and we're like, what is he thinking? What's going through his mind right now? Is he fucking terrified? Is he happy to go home? Like, what's going on? And then we see it go away, and then the next shot is him on the beach, still
In the
still- we
rain,
see,
pouring
we
rain,
see
sitting
it's
by
rainy
himself
season. We see like
on
everything.
a beach chair.
Yeah, and he's just
Yeah.
laying on a chair by himself on the beach. One of him is.
Somebody is.
Somebody is. Yeah.
And scene.
I mean, it's.
What do you give it, Anthony?
I
What you
love
rate
that
it?
my thoughts have changed in just like the past 10 minutes of this conversation of what the ending means. I love that. That's my favorite thing about this movie right now.
What's your rating?
8.6.
Oh, damn. All right. All right.
5.6.
I'm going to go 7.8.
You seem to stay in the sevens pretty consistently.
Yeah, that's because if it's a good movie, it's usually around a 7 or an 8 to me. I mean, I think a 6 is still a good rating too, but I think if you got a 6.5 or above, you're winning.
All right.
I mean, you could be basic about it or just have strong opinions about the movies you like.
That's true.
And you choose
I
basic.
say 7.
Cool.
I say, well, no, I mean, I'm not basic. I have
basic.
a
pretty
consistent fucking. I have a consistent rating system.
Yeah, basic, consistent rating system.
It's consistent. Doesn't
Were
mean
there
it's
boobs?
basic. It means it's
Yes or
consistent.
no?
basic.
Was there blood? Yes or no? What's your rating system?
My
This
rating
is a
system
hard movie to recommend, even though I loved it. Right? My buddy
I
hit me up.
recommend this to everybody.
You're insane. My buddy hit me up and was like, he was like, "Hey, is this worth going and seeing theaters?" And I was like, honestly, it's a friend of mine that I can't see him watching this movie. I was like, I don't know, man. If you really like Skarsgård and Mia Goth, it's great performances, but I gotta tell you, it's bloody, it's sexual, and it's violent, and it's hard to watch sometimes. Like I can see a lot of people that won't be able to get through this movie. And
100%.
That's
No
what I
thanks,
mean.
like
I mean,
Jake.
sure, you recommend to who you. I wouldn't recommend this to your my mom.
Well, yeah.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. Who would
But
like? It's a hard movie to recommend to certain people.
My mom has watched many Cronenberg movies that she likes. I mean, she likes Scanner. She likes The Fly. She likes fucking History of Violence. Like, those are movies that you can get behind. So, I guess you're right. I think my mom would enjoy this movie, actually, now that I think about it. She would definitely think it's cool.
What'd your mom think of Titan?
She did not watch
Titanic.
Okay, well, no. Remember that movie about the girl that fucks a car and murders
I
people?
think this was way better than Titan.
Just similar to me.
Nah, I think this was way better, way more entertaining. Titan got a little boring at times. This never got boring.
That's fair.
Yo, that movie was pretty wild too, huh? When she fucked the car.
The first 40 minutes of Titan was amazing, and then the last 40 minutes kind of fell off.
That's fair. Yeah, this movie was more.
This movie was consistently fucked up and fun.
Is this Skarsgård's best role?
No.
I say Northman's probably his best role.
Go Northman.
Yeah, but this is good. This is what I like about it. Is that he
best role?
Pearl's probably Mia Goth's best role, but I like her in this. I like her in this because she
Pearl
plays the complete psychopath. But Pearl is just like, she definitely does more acting.
Also a
in
psychopath.
Pearl. She well, yeah, but not as in your face. She's more conservative in Paul in Pearl when it comes to the fucked upness. Like this movie, she's all over like screaming and shit. With Pearl, it's more of like you can tell she's crazy, but she keeps it inside more. But Pearl definitely had more scenes of where she gets to show off her acting chops, which is why I say it's a little bit better.
I'm just worried she's gonna get typecast with this shit now. Like she's gonna be the crazy bitch, and that's all she's.
I think she's doing what she wants. I think these.
I was about to say, listening to the interview, she's like, "No, this is the movies I want to be doing. This is the kind of shit I like."
Yeah, okay. I think she's in it. I think she number one. These are different movies that she's doing. Like they're horror, yes, but she's showing these aren't just like. It's hard to get typecast in these types of horror, you know. And tell you one thing, Skarsgård's not getting typecast.
No,
that motherfucker does awesome shit and different shit. From Northman to this, oh my god.
Exactly.
No, but I think unfortunately, Sherry Moon Zombie's a good. It's a good example or a good.
Yeah, but Sherry Moon Zombie only gets cast because her husband's the director. She can't act and she's annoying. Mia Goth can act.
like,
I like
a
Sherry
crazy
Moon
bitch.
Zombie. You guys just talk shit.
Oh, Sherry Zombie's the worst.
But it's like, yeah, she's like interesting the first couple times you see her, but then you're like, oh, this is.
But to think
This is
about
your
it,
thing.
besides for the Rob Zombie movie, she's really never made other movies. So she is that character. Like she is that's who she is. Mia Goth has made a couple movies, and she's gonna make a lot more movies. I doubt Sherry Moon
I
Zombie.
think this was just like wildly different than X anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I think
100%.
I
great.
don't think she's getting typecast anyway. Other than maybe she likes to do horror movies. I think. Other than that, but fuck it, she's new screen queen, baby.
She's great. I fucking love her. All right, that was fun.